So just want to thank you so much for joining today. Like I said, I'm Amy Paulson. I'm the summer camp director. I have been at Stone Canyon for a little bit over 5 years. So this will be my 6th summer at camp. I started as a counselor back in 2018. This will be my 3rd summer directing. We are incredibly excited for this summer and really looking forward to having your campers out to join us. As I kind of am going through this meeting, I have put together a few slides with kind of answers to frequently asked questions. And then towards the end, there will be a chance for you to ask questions if you have any. You can also type questions in the chat if you'd like to, and I will kind of review those towards the end of the meeting. And at any point, feel free to send an email my way. I am going to put just a few good links to have in the chat, including my email and our head chef's email, and then just a few website links that will be helpful for everyone to have. So I'll go ahead and pop those in so you have access to them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And kind of get into my presentation. So we're incredibly excited for day camp this summer. Just a note for you, so as your day camp dates get closer, keep an eye on your inbox because I'll be sending weekly emails kind of in the month leading up to day camp just to share some details, helpful links, that type of thing to help you prepare for camp. Our website is always a really great resource, has lots of information on it. And you can also send me an email at any point and we'll work to answer any questions that you might have. So first I want to talk a little bit about our staff. So we have 12 fantastic counselors joining us this summer. Our counselors at a minimum need to be at least 18 years old, and they undergo a 2-week training that includes covering a variety of topics, including them being first aid and CPR certified. Our counselors are the ones providing all supervision and facilitation of all activities. And all of our staff are Douglas County School District employees, meaning that they're fully CBI and FBI background checked. They go through the same background checks that teachers do. We follow the rule of 3 at camp, meaning no one is ever alone with anybody. That includes 2 campers are never going to be alone with each other. That also includes our staff and is something that we hold really tightly to make sure that we can all stay safe at camp. We spend time out and about on our 99-acre property during the day of camp. Our staff carry radios at all times just so we can be in quick and easy communication as needed. Next, I wanted to go ahead and talk about drop-off and pickup, hotly asked questions. So first, to talk a little bit about kind of morning drop-off. So drop-off will take place each morning at Douglas County High School. We provide transportation to and from camp, with Douglas County High School kind of being our pickup and drop-off location. And drop-off will take place in a window between 8 o'clock and 8:20 a.m., so you can arrive anytime in that window. The first day drop-off will be a little more intensive just because we will have a few things that we need to check off to make sure we have an order before your camper joins us at camp. That will include checking for any paperwork that hasn't been already uploaded to your active account. So campers need to bring proof of, or like their most up-to-date copy of their immunizations. And if any medications are being sent to camp, we need a medication authorization form. And I'll talk about medications more in a few slides, but we're checking to make sure we have that paperwork. We also will do a health screening that first morning, just checking temperature, making sure campers don't have any like big open wounds or sores on them, that type of thing, making sure that we are bringing healthy individuals into camp. There will also be a chance to drop off any medications that you might be sending to camp. We'll check in on campers' camp store accounts, which I'll talk more about in a few slides again. And then it will be time to hop on the bus. If you plan on providing your own transportation to and from camp, please note that the drop-off time is different than the drop-off at Douglas County High School. You shouldn't arrive at our property in Larkspur until 8:45 a.m. And the gate will not, we have a gate at the front of our property, and you will not be permitted onto site until 8:45 a.m. has been reached, just because our site at camp will be busy kind of making sure that everything is set up and ready to go for drop off. So again, make sure if you're driving your camper to camp that you are not arriving until that later time window. Now to talk about pickup. So pickup will take place in the afternoons at Douglas County High School from 4:30 to 4:50 p.m. If you are picking your camper up from camp, it'll be from 3:50 to 4 o'clock p.m. Anyone who's picking up a camper needs to be listed as an authorized pickup. So when you registered for your camper for camp, you had a chance to share primary and secondary parent and guardian information, as well as emergency contacts and those individuals that are and are not permitted to pick your camper up. So on the first drop-off day, we'll review that list with you to make sure everyone who needs to be on there is on there. And only those people will be permitted to sign your camper out. Those picking campers up also need to have a photo ID with them that we will check for pickup. And on the final day during pickup, any medications that were sent will be returned, and we'll also go over your camp store balance to kind of talk about the next steps for that additional money. Transportation to and from camp is being provided by Douglas County School District Transportation, with Stone Canyon staff kind of helping supervise on the buses. Campers are automatically assumed to be taking the bus to camp unless we have heard otherwise. So I linked in the chat that I just put up a few minutes ago a survey that we have to kind of gather what your plan for transportation is. It also has been emailed to you and is on our website, which is stonecanyonedge.org. If you find the day camp page under the summer camp tab and scroll down to find transportation, you can find the survey linked there. We just need to get an idea of who will and will not be taking the bus. I know a lot of parents maybe feel inclined to drive their campers on the first day of camp, which makes a lot of sense. It is a little bit complicated just to keep track of people's varied bus schedules. And so if you would like your camper to take the bus, we really would prefer that they take the bus for the full 3 days of camp rather than kind of having a varied schedule. But if there are unique circumstances or you feel really strongly, we're happy to accommodate that. Next, to talk a little bit more about medications at camp. So all of our staff are trained to carry and administer emergency medications, so EpiPens and inhalers for asthma. Those staff members will have them with them if they have a camper in their group that might have a need for one of those medications. Any other medications that are not emergency medicines will be kept locked up in our infirmary building. And if your camper takes it on a scheduled basis, it will be brought to them and administered. If it's something that they maybe need as needed, they can communicate with their counselor kind of about like, oh, like I feel like I really could use this medication. That counselor can then radio our admin staff and it can be brought. An important note for any medications being sent to camp. So all medications need to be sent in their original packaging with the dosage clearly labeled. So regardless of if it is a prescription, over the counter, a supplement, those medications do need to be in the original packaging. And that includes making sure that the label is on an inhaler or an EpiPen. It might be on the box that it was originally sent in. And we will need a medical release form completed for any medication that is being sent to camp. Again, regardless of if it's a prescription, and over the counter, a supplement, we'll need that form for anything that is going to be administered at camp. Next slide about food at camp, a very important topic. So we are really proud of our food at camp. We're happy to provide delicious and nutritious food. During day camp, we'll provide campers with a snack in the morning and lunch kind of around midday. We make sure that our food is well suited for campers of this age. We try to make sure that we're serving things that appeals to a broad variety of campers and making sure that we have fruit and vegetable options available at lunch. Our chefs work really hard to make great food for your campers. We are a nut-aware facility, meaning we don't serve nuts or cook with nut oils, but we may serve foods that are packaged or processed in facilities where nuts are also processed. And so if you have any concerns about that, The chef's email is kind of on the bottom of the slide and also linked in the chat. You're free to reach out to her. We also can accommodate different dietary needs and preferences. So we can accommodate everything from vegetarian diets to gluten-free or dairy-free individuals. If you have concerns about that, you should have had a chance to list it on your registration, but you also can reach out to our chef or myself at all times. It is our goal, top priority, to make sure that campers are eating and being fed well during the session. And so our staff are trained to keep an eye on kind of what campers are eating. And if they observe somebody is not really jiving with a meal, we can have a conversation with them about if there might be an alternative that we can provide. We're happy to whip up a quesadilla or a cheese sandwich or something just to make sure that those campers are getting the calories that they need for the active days that we have at camp. Also related to food at camp, to talk a little bit about the camp store. So we'll have the camp store every afternoon from 2 o'clock to 2:45 p.m., which is during our free time period. At the camp store, we have different snacks and goodies available for purchase along with apparel items. Food items cost $1 to $2, and we have options including Gatorade, frozen treats like ice cream bars and popsicles, a couple kinds of candy, and some more savory snacks. There are also those apparel items for purchase, and they can also be pre-ordered. To set up a camp store account, so all of our camp store accounts are digital, so that's something that can be done on our website. So if you go to our website, the far right tab is the apparel tab. And then from there, there is an option to set up a camp store account in increments of $5. We do kind of keep an eye on what campers are buying. They're limited to 2 items plus a drink, 2 food items plus a drink every day. And we also try to work with them to do some budgeting, you know, noting that like, oh, you only have this much money left and there are 2 days of camp left. Like, let's try to be thoughtful with what we're purchasing. All camp store account money is non-refundable under $5. So if your camper just has $5 left, that will automatically be added to our camp tuition assistance fund. Otherwise, at the final day checkout, we'll kind of settle that camp store account and can review what is left and ask if you would like to refund or donate it. Now to talk about activities and grouping. So campers will generally be grouped by age. If you have a groupmate request, you had a chance to share that information upon registration. But if something has changed since then, or you just want to double check, you can email registration@stonecanyonedge.org just to confirm that your camper can be grouped with their groupmate. Our practice is to group down, since we do group by ages. If there's a groupmate request for, say, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old to be grouped together, we would put the 8-year-old in the group with other 6-year-olds rather than moving the 6-year-old up into a group of 8-year-olds. So that just may be something to keep in mind with those groupmate requests. Campers will participate generally in the same activities, just kind of on differing schedules. And then we do a number of group activities during the day. I'll pull up the schedule in a few slides, but we kind of do a group activity all together in the afternoon, lunch, and our free time period are camp-wide. So even if you might be sending siblings that you're not sure if you want them in the same group, but they'll have plenty of opportunities to see each other during camp. And just a sample of different activities that we'll do. So we do things like tie-dye, more active activities like group games such as dodgeball or frisbee or gaga ball. We do arts and crafts activities, doing friendship bracelets or painting rocks, that kind of thing. And then kind of some random activities like dance parties or scavenger hunts. As far as kind of what the schedule looks like, so we talked about drop off going from 8 o'clock to 8:20. We'll spend the next 30 minutes or so traveling to camp. Once we arrive at camp, we'll have a little bit of free playtime before coming together for morning announcements. And then we'll start breaking into activities. Campers will have 3 activities with their group over the course of the day, with each activity lasting for an hour. In between every activity, we either are doing a snack or having lunch. You can see that group activity noted from 10:45 to 11:45 a.m. After activity 3 is done, we'll gather together to load back onto the buses to travel to camp, and then pickup will be from 4:30 to 4:50 p.m. As far as what to pack for camp. So each day, please be sure to send your campers with a small backpack in which they should have a water bottle, some type of sun protection, whether that's sunscreen, a hat, sunglasses, maybe a combination of all three, some type of rain jacket or a warm layer. It's not unusual for us to have afternoon thunderstorms roll in, and so we want to make sure we have just some warmer items if needed. And bug spray. We don't typically have a big problem with bugs during summer camp, particularly day camp, since it's during the day, but never a bad idea to send that. And please label any items that you send with your campers' names or initials so that they can be easily returned if they're lost. As far as what not to send to camp, we ask that campers not bring any weapons. That includes pocket knives or lighters. Please do not send outside food with your campers. Like I mentioned, we're providing snack and a lunch. If you have concerns about that being enough for your camper, if they're maybe a little bit of a picky eater, you can feel free to email me or the chef and we can kind of discuss what our options are. But we generally don't want food in campers' backpacks because we don't want to be attracting critters to kind of where the campers are. Please don't send your campers with any electronics. We are technology free as a camp. We just want to make sure that things are not having the potential to get lost or broken. We also find that a lot of great connection can happen at camp when we kind of are removed from those devices. And so would ask that you not send electronics. Please also don't send any medications that haven't been checked in with the Stone Canyon staff. And we also ask that you not send toys or stuffed animals. Again, we just want to make sure nothing is lost or broken or anything like that. As far as our expectations at camp, so all of our expectations really focus around the word respect. We try to respect three kind of groups or types of things at camp. We were respecting ourselves, others, and the environment. If a camper seems to be struggling with one of those respects, they're having a hard time with it, our first line of defense will just be checking in between that camper and their counselor that has kind of observed that issue. It'll be a conversation about why what is happening is not okay at camp, kind of making a game plan moving forward about how we can make sure that we're respecting that thing, and then kind of get back at it. If we notice that issue continuing to crop up at that point, the camper will have a conversation with administration, just a little bit of a more toned in conversation. At that point, we may call home just to get some ideas and share what's going on at camp with the folks back at home. If the problem is persisting and we're having concerns about the campers being safe to themselves and to others, we do have the right to send a camper home if needed. This isn't something that we have happen very often at camp. Luckily, campers are really excited to come to camp and are often having such a great time that we don't have big issues with it. But if it does, that is kind of the layout of how we deal with that. Water and sunscreen, two very important things at camp. Both of these are things that we really stress and monitor to make sure that campers are drinking enough water and applying sunscreen regularly. Water intake is encouraged and monitored by staff. It's not uncommon for us to make a call over the radio to say, we're all having a water appreciation moment. Everybody take 3 sips of water. If campers forget or lose a water bottle, we have loaners of those items available that we can let them borrow. We have insulated jugs full of ice water that are kind of positioned around camp at key points so that if water bottles are emptied, they can be refilled as needed. And then as far as sunscreen goes, so regular sunscreen application is highly stressed and monitored by staff kind of in between all of our activities during those transition times. We are reminding campers to put on sunscreen. Our camp staff also carry sunscreen that can be given to campers if you granted permission for that during registration. Staff can also help with application if necessary. We want to be really careful to make sure that we're not touching anybody without their permission. But if we notice a camper struggling with their sunscreen, we can either help model how to put sunscreen on or kind of help them with that application. And next to talk about homesickness. So we train our staff on kind of recognizing and navigating homesickness with campers. It's not something that we observe super often during day camp just because it's a few hours of the day at a time. But we keep an eye out for campers that might be kind of withdrawn or not eating food at lunch, and kind of try to talk to them and figure out what's going on if we notice those behaviors that are sometimes signs of homesickness. Generally, we don't allow phone calls home if a camper is experiencing homesickness, as in that experience, it can typically make the situation worse. To help prepare your camper to come to camp, we really encourage you to focus on how excited you are for their camp experience and how you're looking forward to kind of hearing about their adventures from the day, that night over dinner, and just really share with them how positive of an experience you think camp will be. And then lastly, I just wanted to go over uploading forms. So like I mentioned, we have that immunization form and the medical release form. So if those are things that you'll be trying to upload into your active account, when you log into your active account, you can download the form that is already there for you. Those forms are also listed on our website. So if you go to the summer camp drop-down menu, there's a page that says required paperwork that you can go to. Then you can upload those forms on active and click submit. So that is the end of my presentation. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen and take a little bit of time now. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat, or you can unmute if you would like to. And if there aren't any questions, then I will say thank you for joining. We're really looking forward to having your camper at camp this summer. And please reach out at any time if you have any questions or need anything. Thank you.